Nickels that you ain't heard about the great deals we got going on down here at Vintage Shoppers right now in Loves Park. How about 6 months of winter storage for only $200? We also got a bunch of great deals on custom parts too. With our full machine shop, we make everything right here in-house. Handlebars, exhaust, sissy bars, frames, we do it all. We're your one-stop shop. So give us a call at 815-978-1228 and let us know what we can do for you. Vintage Shoppers, built with pride, built to ride.
Hello, my name is Alex, but my friends call me Tombstone. And I've been given an opportunity to talk about a great custom merchandise company called Dirty Sam Productions. It's a company that some fellow veterans and I have started. We produce all kinds of custom and promotional merchandise, only using the highest quality that we can find for you. We believe that you should be giving your ideas the life they deserve by working with our graphic designers to extract them from your brain. Get a free quote by emailing us at dirtysam86@gmail.com. That's dirtysam, the numbers 86 @gmail.com. And we'll give your ideas the life they deserve.
This is Butch Popeye Moss with Texas Biker Radio, Defenders of the Constitution. We have a new YouTube channel, Texas Biker Radio. Join us, subscribe. Thank you for listening.
Hey, how you doing? This is New York with Out of the Box, OUTTADA, boxclothingandproducts.com. We make custom t-shirts and other apparel. We have Yuma shirts, motorcycle shirts, hoodies and tees, fitness-related shirts, inspirational wear, custom watches, and almost anything else you can think of. And if we don't have what you like, just shoot us a message and we'll bring your own ideas to life. Contact us. Take it easy.
Ladies and gentlemen,
don't wanna fuck with.
Your mouth all glued up with Connie juice, I asked you a question.
Oh my god, this girl's really turning me on.
Suck me sideways.
Are you gonna pull those pistols and whistle Dixie?
you're about to witness a seismic event. Now, let the party begin.
Your healthy radio addiction starts now.
Hollywood's Motorcycle Madhouse on iHeartRadio.
And how's everyone doing out there? Hope you guys had a great weekend, guys and girls alike. How you doing, Goof Troop? Albert out of Facebook. And how you doing, Ironhead and Dan and everybody else in the chat rooms? It is great to have you here Monday tonight at, let's see here, 7 o'clock. We're right on the dot. Today we got a pretty special program for everyone. We're going to be talking about the American soldier and how this government has left them behind. It's terrible, and for you older guys, and, you know, some of your millennials, I do not know if you, know how bad these veterans are being treated right now. I actually got an email last week. It was talking about a veteran who committed suicide because the programs weren't there and the government wasn't there for them. And it seems like it's a pretty, big thing going around the country. Nobody just gives a shit, if you ask me. And as I was doing the research for this video, it was gut-wrenching to see just some of the statistics that, you know, is out there as far as our American soldiers. Where were you on 9/11? Everybody knows that day will ever change what the Americans did and stuff like that. But I do know how everyone was scared. And, you can walk outside. There was no planes in the air, no nothing like that. But who was there to go and put a boot up that ass for the guys who knocked them buildings down? As I think it was Toby Keith said, put a boot up your ass. But they went over there. They sacrificed their lives. And a lot of them came home maimed. But even worse, they came home with PTSD. Something that ain't taken care of by our government. We all know the VA and all that is a joke, and hopefully this administration will fix it, but who knows? They're politicians. They say one thing, they do another. Think about it. And, you know, I was actually thinking about this as I was, because that stuff in Paris is going on right now. The whole country's in an uproar. You actually had their president on the TV today begging employers to give bonuses out while he's out in the back door trying to give gas taxes and stuff like that. But if you think about it, our government is basically ran by 435 people in the House, 100 in the Senate, then you got the White House, and every slinging dick and one of them are millionaires, and I don't think they really give a shit about us. And that is our fault for doing that. We let them get away with it. We don't hold these people accountable. Yeah, we can talk, hey, get on the phone with your congressman, all that jive. But until the American people start caring about what's going on in this country, it's going to be the same old stuff going on and on and on and on. And the people caught up in that, worst of all, is our vets. And right now, you actually got vets that are living on the street, homeless, can't get services, but they fought in Vietnam, they fought in Korea, they fought in Desert Storm, Afghanistan, Iraq. They fought for us, but we can't take care of them. We'll let them sleep in a tent. It was actually kind of sad this past weekend, reading my local paper, a homeless vet washed up in a river, because we're right over by the river and stuff like that, frozen and stuff like that. It's unbelievable that one of our vets could die that way. And it's just sad that these politicians can't get their crap together to help the people that protect this country. I always say vets are the golden people of this country. Without our vets, without our men, women who serve in them, that uniform, we'd be nothing right now. We'd be either speaking German, Russian, or anything like that. But what else really gets to me is when we don't hold these politicians accountable for what they say. Now, in this one clip, and I'm sure you all heard of, what is it, Denoying Dick, as he's called. He's actually a senator who claimed the fought in Vietnam. Now, Vietnam, we lost upwards of 58,000 soldiers over there. Died on the battlefield. And here you got a senator to further his political career saying he went over there and fought. Me? Stolen valor, if you ask me. But does his constituency hold him accountable for what he said? No. They vote for party. Now, let's take a listen real quick.
American in public office who has refused to acknowledge explicitly their attack in 2016.
Here's a non-candidate, you know. Danang Dick. He's a Danang Dick. That's Blumenthal. He talked about when I was in Danang province in Vietnam. And I was fighting up the hill and men are going left and right of me. They're dying. They're being struck by bullets. But I went back to their rescue. I went back and I got them. And then I made a second attempt. And bullets are going left and right and over my shoulders, and they're hitting my men. And I used to think, wow, this guy's a pretty brave guy. And then I found out he's a fraud. He never was in Vietnam.
Now, you know, I know there's people on both sides of the aisle who like Trump, don't like Trump, but he's got a point here. You know, this guy is a U.S. senator, actually went out there claiming that he was in Vietnam while soldiers were falling all over the place. Now, he's one of the farthest left liberals there are, and he's one that jumps on that bandwagon when it comes to illegal immigrants. Now, yeah, we got the sanctuary cities and stuff like that, But what about our soldiers? What is being done about our soldiers? And I think this is one of the most pressing issues this country's got to face. Because, let's just face it, who's going to want to go fight for this country when the country don't want to fight for you? You know, right now the suicide rate for soldiers is through the roof. And it don't only have to deal with soldiers who are in combat. Actually, this next 1-minute video, gives you the statistics about most of them haven't served in a war zone, but they still got a lot of problems. But the thing is, they're vets. Why are they not being taken care of? And what's even worse is, to drive home this point, I can bet almost 99% of everybody don't know last week 3 of our soldiers died in Afghanistan. The entire nation should have been aware of this. But no, it was put on the back page news, like it was nothing, like it was some daily occurrence. And those soldiers' names were Captain Andrew Patrick Ross of 29 of Lexington, Sergeant First Class Eric Michael Emmend, 39 of Washington, and Special Tactics Airman Staff Sergeant Dylan Elchin, 25 of Pennsylvania. 2 were Army Green Berets, and sorry for that, guys. Hello, you're on air.
Hollywood, what's up? It's Tombstone.
Hey, Tombstone, what's up, buddy?
So, my man, you're hitting a very soft subject with me right now.
Hey,
I gotta tell you,
go ahead.
I am sick to death of these people going out wearing a uniform, speaking what they gotta speak when it comes to being soldiers. Like, if you've never been there, shut your mouth.
Mm-hmm.
You got no business.
Exactly. Now, you know what is really, Tombstone, that really gets me is these 3 soldiers that were killed over there in Afghanistan, and they were regulated to the back page of a newspaper. The only way I found it was, I was doing the research for this, and actually, it was your email that got me to this point where I was watching that one, and I just can't believe this is what's going on with our country right now, with our government that's just pushing our people to the side.
Tombstone, I'm sorry, man, that's my name, shit. I've been drinking a little bit there, Hollywood. So, here's the thing. I'm going to try to be as quick as I can on this. The bottom line is this. First of all, the gentleman that I sent the email about, I served with him for at least 6 years in the same unit. He's a solid dude. The thing is that they talk about in the military all the time about, you got to see the signs, you got to see the weaknesses, and then try to talk to your fellow soldier and so on and so forth. This guy never, ever showed a sign of he was going to commit suicide. The problem is, especially in this world that we have right now, is as far as it comes to the military, is they will use you and say, yeah, everything's cool. You might be 250, 300 pounds, you don't meet regulations or whatever the case may be, but as long as you're willing to carry that firearm and you're willing to go overseas, we'll use you. We'll go ahead and take you to do what you need to do. But when you get home, because you don't meet the military standard anymore, they're looking for a way to get rid of you. And that destroys the mentality of what the military is supposed to be. Right now they're offering tons and tons of money to recruiters, saying, hey, come on board, come back and let's start filling our ranks back again, because nowadays nobody wants to join the military anymore. Nobody wants to play that game anymore because you can make more money as some punk ass little bitch on whatever media platform, selling t-shirts or whatever the case may be. It doesn't take any kind of intelligence in any way, shape, or form to make money these days, and nobody wants to be that hard-ass, tough-ass dude that says, you know what, my country needs me, and it's time for me to step the fuck up.
Right. Now, you know what, since you were over there and stuff like that, You guys actually had it a lot harder than a lot of the Vietnam guys did, World War II guys did, because with them it was a 1-year enrollment or a 1-year tour of duty. Now the guys over in Afghanistan, and when Iraq was going on and stuff like that, were pulling 3-4 tours of duty.
Well, and I don't want to correct you, but basically the bottom line is when you were dealing with Korea, Vietnam, and so on and so forth, yeah, these guys volunteered, some of them to go, some of them were drafted to go. And the bottom line is once you got there, you never knew when you were coming home. The thing about the military now is for the most part, you're only going over for a 1-year tour, and part of that tour is your mobilization training that goes along with it. So you might be, you might have gone overseas for 9 months out of the year, but 3 months of that was your mobilization. And then they do a demobilization on the way home where they talk about all the other happy horse shit that goes along with it to make sure that you're not suicidal and everything else, and they can move you into everyday society. Tours these days are only basically about a year long, unless you can, while you're overseas, is decide to go ahead and extend your orders to do another tour.
Okay. Now, what kind of services are they providing the vets when they actually leave the service?
All right, so this is where it gets real touchy because now, I publicly, I will tell you that I have PTSD. As far as my medical records are concerned, I do not have PTSD. And the reason being is because when you get back from war overseas, and any veteran will tell you this, you go through what they call demobilization. So they bring you in, they go through your medical records, they go through your mental records, they go through everything, make sure that you have the right insurance and so on and so forth. And in some aspects, they do a good job. But the other side of the coin is this. You've been away for a year from your family, your wife, your kids, your girlfriend, your whatever. All you want to do is get home. So then they start talking to you about mental illness and do you have PTSD? Do you have these problems? Well, nobody's going to say yes, because if you say yes, you now have to be locked into that demobilization area, wherever it is. I mean, it could be Fort Dix, it could be Fort Lee. I mean, who knows? Wherever guys come back from demobilization. But the bottom line is they will then keep you there until they feel that they can release you into the regular general population, that you are safe to be part of the United States again. But the bottom line is who the hell, after being away from their families for a year, is going to say, yep, I got problems. I can't process this.
Right. Well, you know what? Another thing that was really disturbing, I found 2 incidences of this as I was researching. Actually, in an interview I conducted with Dave Walters, because he did 10 years and some duty over there. He's a historian for Insane Throttle. I found where because I guess you got to go through medical screening and stuff like that to get into special forces and do stuff like that. But
oh, absolutely.
Why he had his first CT scan, they said everything was all right, even though a radiologist said to take a closer look, it ended up being a cancer mass. And, it took them 6 months before they got him any help. And by that time, it was already stage 4 and lethal. Now, another thing that disturbed me was with Vietnam, you had Agent Orange. And with Desert Storm, there was a lot of guys over there getting sick. Now, what's with all the cover-up with the government, with our soldiers?
Well, here's the thing, and trust me when I tell you this, I am not a conspiracy theorist or any of that other shit. I will tell you point blank, the way I saw it and the way I see things, it's not 100% accurate because I don't speak for the government, but I do speak for me and what I saw. So, when I went overseas, I lived on a FOB, which is a forward operating base in Balad, Iraq. It was called Camp Anaconda. Camp Anaconda has been known for burning trash, disposal of explosives that they found on routes, so on and so forth. There were times at 8 o'clock in the morning, and it was pretty regular, where they destroyed every explosives ordinance that they found while they were out doing rock clearance. So imagine, you work the graveyard shift, and 8 o'clock in the morning, there's a giant goddamn explosive that wakes you right up out of your goddamn bed, and now you can't sleep anymore. No big deal. It is what it is. It's part of life over there, and you live with it. But when we talk about the burning of garbage, it has been proven that there are carcinogens in the garbage they were burning over there. And they weren't just burning regular, everyday garbage. You're talking about asphalt, plastics, so on and so forth, to the point where there were days where it would literally rain ash upon the forward operating base that we were living in. So you don't know what you're breathing in reality. I mean, for all I know, they could have been dumping porta johns in there and burning. I don't really know.
Right.
But what I do know is this: is a lot of soldiers came back from overseas from serving in these locations from 2000 until probably about 2012-ish area, where these were the common everyday occurrences that were going on, and they developed sleep apnea, asthmatic positions. They had issues with their bronchial abilities and so on and so forth. So what it really breaks down to is, down in Vietnam, you had Agent Orange, right? And everybody knows, anybody that did history knows that they used the United States Army or military at that point in time, not just Army, but the military as guinea pigs. They tried all kinds of things because they wanted to use these Agent Orange and so on and so forth against the enemy to have them kill themselves, not just us. Okay? So they went through that route, and they destroyed units. I mean, full units of people by using Agent Orange on them. And now it's like, it doesn't matter that you were overseas and you lived on this location. Now you have sleep apnea, and I don't know if anybody knows what sleep apnea is, but you could potentially die in your own sleep from sleep apnea. Right? I mean, it's not good. It's bad stuff. But the military doesn't want to take care of their veterans that come back. You get guys that come back from PTSD. First of all, they're not going to tell you they have PTSD because they don't want to stay there. They're not going to tell you they have medical problems because they don't want to stay at the demobilization area. They want to go home.
Right.
So we lie, we tell them stories, we do whatever else, and then what ends up happening 3, 4, 5 years later, all of a sudden it's showing up on our medical records that, yeah, we have these problems and we need help. And the military is finding ways to get rid of us.
Man. Now, as a soldier who served over there, had brothers and sisters that were over there, what is your feeling? Because you know what? These politicians really get under your skin. What is your feeling about a politician claiming to be in Vietnam when he wasn't? And the people don't hold him accountable for that.
Well, here's what I'm going to tell you. First of all, if you want to live the life of stolen valor, you can come step in front of me anytime you want and play that game, but you will not leave with the same heartbeat. That's all I'm going to tell you. All right? I know my family has been nothing but military veterans. My father fought in Vietnam, and he has PTSD. He has other issues that he has to deal with every day of his life. I mean, when you wake up in the middle of the night and your hands are wrapped around your wife's throat and you're choking her out because you think she's Vietcong, that's a problem.
Right.
Right? So that's the life he had to live, and he had to separate himself and move to another country in order to be able to, acclimate himself back into the Asian lifestyle, because that's all he understood. Now, I'm not from that generation. I did the Desert Storm thing, but the bottom line is my brothers and sisters that are out there, like, we don't do what we want to do. We're doing what we are told we need to do. So these people that don't want to support veterans, these people that want to call us baby killers or, whatever it is they want to call us, you're so fucking wrong. I have no understanding of where your brain comes from. Like, we signed a contract that said the government tells us what we do, so we go do it. Regardless of if it's liked or not liked, that's our job.
Right. Now, you know what? What can the VA, because everybody's been talking about we're going to fix the VA, we're going to fix the VA. I cannot understand why that a soldier just cannot go to a regular doctor if, Why can't the government cover it? They do it with Medicaid.
You know what? You bring up a very good point. I'm active duty, as I mentioned before. So ultimately, under the fact that I'm active duty, I have to report to what they call a TMC, which is a medical center that's run by the military. Now, on top of that, I'm a civilian as well in a different aspect. Okay, so I have a doctor that I have a history with. She knows my issues. She knows where my back problems are. She knows what medications I use and what I don't use, and so on and so forth. And listen, I don't like taking pills, so let's get that right off the table, off the start. I don't take painkillers because I like to take them. Take them because I have to, not because I enjoy it. And I probably take 1 or 2 painkillers a year. But the bottom line is, she knows my history. So now you're going to tell me I have to leave my doctor that knows my history to go to another Army doctor that has no goddamn clue, that's going to prescribe me medications and so on and so forth to help me with the issues and the pain that I have to deal with. That's a wrong answer. So the military has this program that's called TRICARE. I think it just got bought out by another insurance company called Humana. But the bottom line is the insurance isn't bad. It's not terrible. But when it starts coming into extra issues such as PTSD or depression or so on and so forth, there's a lot of empty holes in there.
Right.
The military just does not take care of the people that they claim they're going to take care of in the long run, and it's sad. Politicians, I have no respect for politicians, and that's why I have a certain amount of respect for Trump, because he's not a politician; he's a businessman. The United States should have been run like a business a long, long time ago. But if you take a look at history, from Carter, right? Carter dumped on the military. Reagan came in, took care of the military. And it's been continuous across the board, up and down, up and down, up and down, where, Democrats don't want to take care of the military. Republicans are always about taking care of the military. We right now are not the strongest military force in the entire world, but we should be.
Right. Well, they got, some of the stuff you read out there, you got Russian with these new nukes that can take out ships underwater. You got the Chinese out there building, and it's getting dangerous out there again.
It's getting stupid. And listen, regardless of whether we've made some sort of a peaceful arrangement with North Korea, or if we have an arrangement with Russia, or whatever the case may be, it really doesn't matter, because somebody somewhere is going to make a mistake, and it's going to be taken, just like in our world right now with the MC world. It doesn't take a lot to piss off a dominant, and then all of a sudden they need to come back and take care of business, so to say.
Right.
It's the same concept. Stop walking on the line. You draw the line in the sand, and you say, hey, this is the way it's going to be. If it's not this way, we're coming. It's that easy.
Right.
And if Trump is doing that, I'm good with it. If any politician that takes over his position moving forward does that, I'm good with it. I have no problem going over and doing the duties that I signed on to do. 11 years ago, I signed on the dotted line, and what that dotted line said is, my ass belongs to the military, and anytime they call me to duty, I do what they ask me to do. Doesn't matter if I like it or not, I do it.
Right. What do you think us as civilians can do to actually get these politicians to do something about this Veterans Administration, man? You shouldn't be having guys waiting 6 months to find out they're just dying.
To be honest with you, the only thing that I think anybody can do, and this is just my opinion, is you guys got to reach out to your senators. You got to reach out to your local government officials and say, hey, listen, the VA, it's old school. It's over. They don't belong doing what they're doing. The problem is and don't get me wrong, there are some VA doctors that are really, really good, but the problem is that when you take a look at the VA as a whole, more people are ending up with long-term disabilities or dying when they should not be. Like, no soldier that went overseas and fought for his country should ever have to wait 6 months for some kind of treatment. It just shouldn't happen. And the bottom line is we all have, like every soldier in the world that isn't full-time active duty all the time, they have their own doctors that they go to that know their history. So let's change the way it works. You know, let's say, hey, enough with the VAs. The VAs aren't doing what they need to do to take care of the heroes. And I'm not calling myself a hero, but the heroes that actually went out and, you know, protected and saved their other brothers and sisters in combat.
Well, you're a hero just putting on that uniform to me, man, because, you know, like I said, my whole family's been involved in the service going back to the Revolutionary War, and I believe before then. But, you know, my uncle, he died in Vietnam. He was a gunner on a helicopter. And, you know, the pride that's been with our family with the service is, you know, undeniable. But I just I can't see where this country is split the way it is right now, and you see illegals getting all these benefits. And like I said, last weekend, I seen in the newspaper right down the street from me, a homeless vet dead in the river. That's no way to go when you serve your country.
And that should never happen. You know, but the thing is you got a lot of vets that come home, and the military's number one strategy is come with us. We'll give you an education that you can take with you back to the civilian world when you're no longer, you know, able to serve. Well, yeah, okay, it's bullshit. You know, I have 3 individual MOSs, which is military occupational, whatever. I can't even remember what the S is right now. But so there's 3 different jobs that I am capable of completing within the military in the United States Army. The problem is that I think all the schooling that I have gone to and all the classifications and all the clearances that I have and everything else, you take all that and you bring it back to the United States and you say, hey, I have all this, they shit on it. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you did. You know, guys like me, we can't even come back and get a job as a goddamn security officer at you know, an importing goods store to make sure that, you know, shit's done the right way. We can't do it because they say, oh, no, you have to go and you have to get a license to be a guard or some other shit. You know what I mean? It just doesn't work that way. Right. The only thing that I've seen that's been successful with the military transferring the knowledge over has been with truck drivers. What I do know is that in the military right now, if you have certain licenses to be able to operate certain vehicles within the military, you can go to the DMV with a letter from your commander that says, hey, this guy knows how to do this, that, and the other thing, and they will give you the endorsement to drive an 18-wheeler or, you know, a Class C or Class B. But that's the only thing I've seen. Like, you've got guys that have been 20 years military, 20 years plus. You're talking about first sergeants, sergeant majors, and so on and so forth. They get out of the military. They had no education prior to going in. Why are they coming out with the same thing? No education. These guys should have earned a bachelor's and associates or something.
Right. What do you think about people that just party line vote instead of actually looking into their representatives, looking at their background, and seeing if they're actually going to do something? Well, do what they say they're going to do for our vets.
All right. I hear you, man. And the problem is what do you believe when a politician speaks? You know what I mean? It's a tough deal. Mm-hmm. Now, when I go through, I don't vote Republican or Democrat. I vote for what I feel is right. Okay? If there is a candidate that's out there running for whatever position it may be that says, I'm against Second Amendment rights and so on and so forth, well, guess what? You're not getting my vote today. You know, but the problem is here's reality. And this just happened in New York. So you have 2 guys. You got the Democrat and the Republican, and they're fighting hard. You know, who's going to win this battle, so on and so forth, right? But the bottom line is then on top of that, you've got an independent, and then you've got somebody that wants to run on the whatever other ticket, and so on and so forth. Now all you're doing is splitting votes. So when you take a look at the big outcome, you end up, because of all those split votes, because of those people that wanted to vote for the independent or the conservative or whatever they did, they split their vote and ended up getting the Democrat elected that nobody wanted to begin with. Mm-hmm.
Now, you know what?
You know,
Something you just said was right on. I actually had, I think it's Luckety Split. He said he was in infantry for 5 years, broke his back, got shot, got discharged, no job anywhere except truck driving, which is not good for mental health, he just said.
You know, and it sucks because here's the thing. Like, when I went overseas, and I worked a lot with truck drivers, I worked a lot with security people and so on and so forth. I ran convoys from Balad, Iraq to, wherever else they needed to go. We ended up running supplies and so on and so forth. The bottom line is we're out there in the shit. And when I say the shit, yes, sometimes you got shot at, some days you didn't. Other days you got blown the fuck up, you know, and I've lost too many brothers and sisters in the military based on the fact that, you know, I've lost more brothers and sisters in the military from PTSD than I have from them getting blown up or shot. And that's disgusting to me.
It is.
You know,
now,
something needs to change.
How prevalent is PTSD among our soldiers?
Well, here's the thing. I want to take it out of the soldier room realm as well. It's not just a soldier thing. You know, there are plenty of people in this world that suffer from PTSD. Some of them were, molested by priests or whatever the case may be, maybe an uncle, who knows. You've got guys that work in the fire department, you know, where they're pulling dead babies out of bodies, out of buildings that are charred, you know, beyond recognition. There's many people throughout this world that suffer from PTSD. The problem is that it's a syndrome. You know, they don't look at it as a real disease. They look at it as a syndrome. People can't deal with this, that, or other thing, so suck it up, buttercup, and go do your thing, and they throw medication at you and everything else, but the medication doesn't always work. Case in point, the gentleman that I emailed you about, I mean, we're talking about a guy that never showed any clue whatsoever that he was down the suicide road. You know what I mean?
That was heartbreaking. I watched that video. It was heartbreaking.
It's terrible. I mean, my man had a thing. You know, I wasn't real close with the guy, but that's one of my brothers. You know what I mean? Like, I got my brothers in the military, and I got my brothers in my club, and I'll die for either one of them. It doesn't goddamn matter to me. You know, and I'll fight for their security and their life. But the problem is if you don't reach out, if you don't have those warning signs that the military keeps telling you have to see in order to talk to them, you don't know. And then they wake up one morning, and here it is, a dude that you served with for 8 years has committed suicide. It's terrible.
It was. You know, he had the yacht, and he was in the yacht club since it was like, wow. You know, what a life, you know. God, it was terrible. It was terrible.
But he left behind a wife and kids, and that's, you know what, I know that he was hurting, and trust me, I know he was hurting, because you don't kill yourself because you're not hurting, you know what I mean? Right. But now because of his team that he earned, let's call it that, he earned that by being in the military and being deployed. His family now has to pay that penance for the rest of their life because he wasn't taken care of properly.
Right. Well, Lickety Split just said his unit lost 42 in Afghanistan and 13 to suicide. Oh my God.
Suicide is not acceptable as far as I'm concerned. You're like, listen, man, I'm not going to call anybody that killed themselves weak, because here's what I'm going to tell you. If you could take your own life, you're probably the baddest motherfucker I've ever seen in my life. I'll tell you that right now, because I personally couldn't do it. But I'll tell you, I've been through some hard shit. I've been through a lot of pain in my life. But I find a way to work through it. You know, I have a good support system in my life. Not everybody does. You know, and those signs that everybody talks about for suicide, they're not always, you know, visible to other people. So you got to stop with the bullshit. People kill themselves because they gave the fuck up. They just can't do it anymore. You know what I mean? They've got too much pain in their life. They're not finding the help that they need, and shit just hit ahead, and they just can't do it. Right. You know, and we got to stop treating it like it's a fucking disease, because it's not. Suicide is an epidemic, especially upon our soldiers, because they don't get the support that they need when they come back to the United States.
Right. Now, do you feel like, you know, another subject, because you got that going on in Ukraine right now, where you got Russia that actually took one of their ships over and stuff, and it's escalating over there. Do you think our soldiers and our our military is ready for something like that?
Well, that's not an easy question to answer. I would like to tell you that, yeah, we can whoop some serious ass if we needed to, but here's the problem, and this has been occurring, and it's going to be occurring in our own country, is the Ukraine and France and some of these other countries, Europe, they opened their borders to all these so-called refugees. And now this has been going on for 6-7 years, man, where these refugees have come in and shit all over their country, turned it into a garbage pile, destroyed what the country is supposed to stand for, the constitutions or their rules of regulations or whatever it may be. These people, they don't care. So now the country that we're talking about, they are on the defense, where they should have been on the offense to start with. And we're not too far away from that.
Right. James Probo wanted to give a shout out to Adam Sandoval. Sandoval, he's actually, I love that guy. He does a ton of stuff for vets. He ran around the country for a couple years, riding his motorcycle to raise money for him. And he's actually got a campground now where the vets can stay, for free and stuff like that. But
That's awesome.
I think, the citizens need to step up. I got a link on this video to Wounded Warriors to help donate to them. And I really think the citizens of this country needs to get off their ass and start standing up for our military. Because like you said, it seems like it actually, what you said made sense after Vietnam, is when these politicians, depending on where they were at, started shitting all over our military, and that's got to stop.
You're right, and the regular population, when the Vietnam vets came back, they were getting spit on and everything else, and that's not enough as it is, but the people fed off of what the government was doing, and that's what allowed it to happen. If you're not behind your vets, then what the hell are you sending them over there for, Right. But, here's what I got to tell you. If you want to take care of veterans, and this is the best piece of advice I can give to any citizen in the world, if you want to do something for those vets, start local. My club is now trying to raise some money, and what we do directly is we're going to find vets locally that we can help affect their lives. So if they're disabled vets and they don't have money for Christmas or whatever the case may be, we're gonna get some stuff together. We're gonna get to know the family, and we're gonna go buy all the Christmas presents and everything we can to help that family. It may only be one person. It may only be two people. Maybe it's 5. Who knows? But you got to start somewhere. And we're hoping that this grows and that more civilians in the local areas are going to start taking care of those veterans that need their help.
Man, that's awesome right there. You know what? One vet at a time right there.
I can't fix the world all in one shot. But, because we're a small club, there's only a certain amount of guys that we have. But the bottom line is every shirt on Dirty Sam Productions, every shirt that we sell, we donate a certain amount of money back to the veterans and try to supply the food that they need and everything else. We work with other clubs locally and try to, food banks and so on and so forth. And every time we walk in, we have $100 worth of food that we bring in and we drop every single time we go somewhere.
That is awesome. You're out of New York, right, or New Jersey?
No, we're upstate New York, right outside of Albany.
Okay. Yeah, I just got your MP3 played before the show today, and that's one thing. Insane Throttle. If you're a veteran-owned company or something, throw your stuff over to me, and I'll get it out there for you guys. But I really love the idea of what you just said about taking one vet at a time. And hopefully, not only our audience, but this starts spreading that we need to take care of our vets. Because when I was actually doing the research for this weekend, man, I was in disbelief at how bad it really was out there. Especially when it came to the suicides, and that video that you linked me to, that kicked me in the balls. And I was like, man, what the hell? I was like, they're over there having bullets flying over their heads, and when they get home, we can't even take care of them. What kind of that's not right there.
But, we can't rely on the government anymore. We as civilians, and I'm going to take myself out of the military equation, we as civilians, we have to start taking care of the people that took care of us. If you go back to Germany, World War II, we could all be speaking German or Japanese right now, Okay, maybe the war in Desert Storm, it wasn't about, that we're going to be speaking Abdul or whatever it is that they speak over there, but the bottom line, I can't tell, it's dirt stuff. But the bottom line is that, we could have lost a lot of freedoms, but we didn't, because our United States military went over there and said, your weapons of mass destruction, which may or may not exist at this particular point in time, right, we're going to make sure do not end up on American soil. And 9/11 was a fucking wake-up call for everybody. But here's what I don't understand, and I'm hoping that I'm going to ask you a question, and I want to challenge all your listeners. My question is this. How come when 9/11 happened, everybody wanted to fly a flag, everybody wanted to be patriotic, but now that 9/11 is over, and now that we've all calmed down, nobody wants to fly shit?
No, they rather burn it like the bastards they are. Oh my
Absolutely.
God.
So why is that?
Exactly. And I think that goes towards the way society's actually going. I think it's actually starting in schools right now. With the Pledge of Allegiance and everybody getting butthurt and PC. A lot of these people don't remember that day. That day was our Pearl Harbor from, 78 years ago or something?
Absolutely.
2001 was our Pearl Harbor. How many people died in them damn towers?
Over 3,000 people. Exactly. And died in them towers, and then on top of it, they tried to hit the Pentagon, and they tried for another American high-dollar, high-value target within the United States, but whoever was on that plane, and I don't remember because I don't do a lot of study on the 9/11 thing, but somebody tried to take back over the plane, and they ended up driving it right into the ground. So they sacrificed 300 and something people on an airplane to ensure that more United States citizens above that number would not perish in any more attacks.
Right. Now, what a lot of people don't understand with that 2001, because a lot of them say, we went there to fight for their oil. No, you brought up a good point with them weapons of mass destruction. Just think if they had them on that planes that day.
Well, yeah, absolutely. The planes, and listen, there's a lot of conspiracy theorists out there about, there's no way those buildings could have come down and blah, blah, blah. Here's what I'm going to tell you. I saw it, okay? 2 planes hit 2 buildings. Mm-hmm. It was probably the most disgusting but yet amazing thing I've ever seen in my entire life. And to watch people jump out of that building and plummet to their deaths because they would rather die from jumping than burn to death inside of a building, that carries a lot of weight with me. There's a particular woman, and you'll see the video as time goes on, because it keeps coming up every year at the anniversary. But there was a woman that jumped out of one of the building windows, and while she was on her way down, she didn't scream. She held her skirt down the whole time that she went down because she wanted to maintain her dignity on the way down.
Right.
That's a hero. That's a hero in my mind.
Exactly. And you had people holding hands going down. It was, oh my God, it's heart-wrenching just thinking about that, because I remember where I was that day, and it was like I said earlier, it all went ghost town with the airplanes, and you could tell something was wrong that day. And 17 years later, 18 years later, whatever it is right now, and for people out there, you see them in Seattle, these Antifas, waving that damn Soviet Union flag around, or having a statue of Lenin in one of their town squares. That puts a bug up my ass right there. I can't stand that stuff, and I can't understand after what happened in our lifetime how people are like that.
So I work full time for the military right now. I'm on a team that works directly for the Pentagon. I have a guy on my team right now who was a 9/11 responder. He was one of the first 100 people that hit boots on the ground once the towers came down. He goes to doctor visits all the time because now finally, after tons and tons of court cases, the state of New York is going to start taking care of those guys that were the responders. And he's had 2 cancer scares since within the past 3 years.
Oh, wow. Yeah, because a lot of them are coming up with pulmonary disease and all that stuff from 9/11.
Well, because all those buildings had asbestos and lead and every goddamn thing else in them.
Oh, man. And that's terrible right there. It goes back to the same thing. Our vets ain't being taken care of, but our responders from that day ain't being taken. They had to fight and fight and fight to get. I just don't understand our government. It all comes down to money.
Well, you know, and here's what I'm going to say this again, is yes, I blame the government, but I also blame the American citizens. We have forgotten where we came from. We have forgotten the type of people that we're supposed to be. We were the power in this entire world. Every other country looked at us and said, nope, don't fuck with them, because they bite back. But now all of a sudden everything's PC, everybody's afraid, I got feelings, and all this other happy horse shit. It's even gotten to the point where it's bled into the military, where a man or a woman that joins the military can't make an off-color joke because somebody's going to get sued for sexual harassment or whatever the case may be. That's not what the military is. We are a machine. Our job is to solve the problems that the world needs us to solve, period, in the statement.
Right.
You know, 9/11 happened. That was a big wake-up call for a lot of people. But it only lasted like 6 months to a year. Where the hell is my country? Where did my country go?
I agree 100% with you right there. Where the hell did it go? And my last question for you, you know, I appreciate you calling in and giving us this. I learned a lot during this. It's been an awesome learning experience. But how is political correctness hurting our military?
Oh, it's disgusting. And listen, I don't care if you're gay, you're straight, you're transvestite, you're whatever, you're not sure what you want to be. I'm cool with all that. But the military is not a social experiment. This is not the place to try to figure out what you want to be, okay? When I first joined the military, it was don't ask, don't tell, okay? If you're gay, cool. Keep that shit to yourself. Nobody wants to hear it. Nobody wants to know nothing about it. Well, in the past 5 years, they came out and said, okay, you know, now it's okay to be gay. I don't care. Be gay. But here's the thing. So when crews get together, or units, or whatever the case may be, and they travel, here's what the Army does. They separate the men from the women, right? Women have their own barracks, and the men have their own barracks. Why? Because they're afraid that we're going to start having sex. So now, if you're gay, whether it be a lesbian or homosexual, it's cool for you to stay in the barracks with your, you know, sexual preference.
Right.
How does that make sense?
It don't, because you know what really don't make sense is because if you look at some of these like China or Russia, it don't look like they deal with that kind of crap. You know, I'm not just talking about homosexuals. I'm talking about men are men in that damn shit.
Well, here's what I'm going to tell you. The men are men and the women are women too. You should look on YouTube and do a search on Spetsnaz, okay? The training that they do, they don't use blanks. They use real ammunition. And they're shooting at each other, and they're blowing shit up and everything else. And yes, they lose people, but you know what? The people that pass, the people that get through it, are the baddest sons of bitches that ever walked the face of this earth.
Right. Yeah. Well, you know what? This was such an learning experience, man, Tombstone. I really appreciate it, and I'm going to have you on more and more. You already know that, but
I hope so, brother, because I got to tell you, you're the man. You know what? You don't think of yourself as a man, but you are, because you let the people speak their piece. You don't judge them for their shit unless your name is Chuck E. Cheese. And the bottom line is you know what? You're an American through and through, and your blood is red, white, and blue, and I love that about you, man. Thank you.
Well, I appreciate that, man. It's always going to be to the day I die. I appreciate you coming on, Tombstone.
All right, brother. Ride hard and stay safe.
Thanks, buddy. I really appreciate Tombstone coming on the show. That was really awesome, man. I learned a lot from him. You know, like this weekend, man, I was doing all the research for this video, getting into some stuff. I was going to put a presentation on, and he called, and that's better than anything I can tell you. But lickety split, you know, even with Aunt, her dad was in the service. Anybody that was in the service are damn heroes, plain and simple. Nothing else to be said about that. Hopefully in, you know, the coming days, years ahead, people get back to what it means to support our military. We're not going to have people let our vets die out on the street. We're not going to let policies like, you know, let's take care of illegals first, interfere with our vets and stuff like that. But, you know, I really thank you all for your service who put on that uniform. And I find it disgusting that this country doesn't take care of its vets, especially with the suicide rates, with the homeless problems, and, you know, just getting them back into society. They went over there. They fought for us. They should be taken care of. So, if you guys want to call in, go ahead and call in. I'll take a couple calls if you guys want to. If not, that will be the show today. I'll answer a couple questions, by the way, until somebody calls in here. Let's see what we got here. Alrighty. But go ahead and call in if you guys want while I'm doing this. Hi, Hollywood. Wanted your opinion on Facebook biker groups. I really don't have much of an opinion on them. Anyway, especially ones that claim to educate people. I'm a part of many groups, and one in particular I find confusing. The group has weekly videos on a variety of subjects. Some's interesting and some not. Oh, hold on. I don't think you want to call on this one, Scott. Anyway, that was somebody else. Anyway, I've been looking into one of the administrators, and he's out bad from his club. You know what? I already know where this is going, B. Keith, and I don't. You know what? I touched on this subject time and time again, so I'm not going to even bother going there. Whatever. Robert, fuck this group. Nothing but judgmental crying bitches here. Thought bikers we are. There is no code, no honor, no respect here. Just a bunch of people judging others. Hope y'all burn. Fuck y'all. Well, Robert, thank you. Anyway, it's a Facebook group. Come on, man. Really? But yeah, I'm not going to get into that other one. So, yeah, I've had enough of that stuff. But anyway, well, you know, what else we got in, let's see here. I spent years in the Army. No hero here. Made a country both live in a rock on Europe. Thank you. Sat with my uncle one night. The stories he told me are heartbreaking. Thanks for that, Pam. My old lady getting locked up. Oh, I hope not. The Air Force and I were born in the same year. My father then... Rock on, Aunt. Awesome show. Thank you. All right, guys. Well, if that is it for today, I really appreciate it. I will put my interview up with Dave Walters tomorrow morning. That way you guys can see the rest of it. It runs about 20 minutes, so that would put us way over here. Let's see here. James Throttle Wood, did you see Backdoor Adventure got his shit? Yeah, it's different on the street, ain't it, JP? But thanks, everybody. I really appreciate it. Hope you guys enjoyed the show. Leave your comments, suggestions for materials. I really appreciate it. And I'll talk to you guys later.